All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the Airpark Advisory Board emergency meeting. And first item is citizens to be heard for items not on the agenda. Is anyone wishing to speak today? All right. New business items. We'll go directly to the subject of today. Fly USA had plans to install a rotating beacon for quite some time as part of their many improvements to the Airpark as far as safety, efficiency, and rebuilding the terminal building, among other things, long before the incident on February 1st. Now, contrary to some information, there has never been a rotating beacon in the last 50 years at that Airpark. Some people thought there was one in the 80s. There was not. I've been here for 52 years. Never saw one. So there has never been a beacon at the airport. Now, it's not known if this proposed beacon would have helped in the unfortunate incident, the February crash. However, in the interest of safety, I believe that the installation of the beacon should be prioritized. It is on the list, but I believe it should be a higher priority. As of now, it looks like it'll take quite some time. We'll be asking Mr. McDonald about that because of surveys, FAA permitting, and funding allocations, and I believe we should explore everything possible, get this project on the fast track to include exploring renting possibly a portable beacon prior to a permanent installation, if this can be done in an expeditious and feasible fiscal manner. Now, my questions are, can the city prioritize this project? Can we get other governmental agencies such as the FAA to proceed with more vigor and perhaps contact our U.S. representative and senators if that might get things moving faster? That is the question I have at this moment. Any thoughts, discussion, comments?
I, for one, Roger, support what you're trying to do. I think it needs to be stated that the master plan identified a rotating beacon. One of the primary issues is siting the beacon in a way that it does not interfere with the operation of the airport. As you know, as a pilot, there's runway obstacle-free areas, obstacle-free zones, etc., and the height of the beacon cannot penetrate any of those areas. There's specific advisory circulars that identify the design criteria that's needed for a beacon. I don't recall that they identify or mention the idea that you brought up of potentially renting a facility and putting it up. I don't know how that would go. I think that's worthy of discussion. But I know that the beacon was brought up during the master plan process. I don't know where that stands right now. I know Mr. McDonald has been looking at the master plan and working, and with the city staff has been working their way through how they get the projects that were recommended in the master plan done. And so I don't have that information, but I'm sure Mr. McDonald does and probably can address it. But and I think another thing, since this has become such a story around Clearwater and Pinellas County, as Roger mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate it. We don't know what happened in the cockpit of that airplane that day, that night. We don't know if the beacon would have made a difference, and there's a lot of things that perhaps the NTSB will find when they're done with their report and their study. So, my comments.
My cursory observation of the rules indicates, and since you've had FAA experience, that it would go on the highest point of the airport, usually a control tower if there is one, or a higher building.
I haven't had any experience with anything like that as a controller, but
Right.
I went over to St. Pete Airport a week or two ago just to kind of see how it would affect housing in the area, because I knew there was complaints about that. And I got at the hotel on the south side of the airport. There's a parking lot that looks straight up the runway, and you can see the lights well away from the tower. It's over on the northeast side, north of the VOR, north of the old runway 27. And, you can certainly see it as it rotates, but if you turn around and look at the hotel, you don't see any light flashing against the building. So it's angled high enough where it doesn't flash against the building.
I think you can angle it up 20 degrees and.
I read 2 to 10.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
10.
2 to
10 is
10,
the max, yeah.
And another thing, I was noticing, I was at the Airpark the other night to look around and see the lighting situation, and there is a large cell tower with a very bright strobe on top, a red strobe. No one's complained about that. I don't think this light, if it comes into fruition, would be all that annoying. Plus, there's a barrier on the, let's see, the south end of the field, a large earthen barrier which kind of cuts a lot of the light pollution from that. I don't know that it would be that big a problem.
Yeah, I don't know how they figured the placement and the altitude, but you would think it'd probably go over there somewhere near the parking lot on that side, on the other side of the FBO. At an altitude that was cleared the obstructions, and it went high enough to where it doesn't hit anything on its way around the light. But it is a hard airport to see, I would guess. I don't recall. I worked a lot of airplanes into a lot of airports in the southeast, South Georgia, across the city, all across the southeast. And I don't recall a lot of trouble finding airports at night, generally. And, like Waycross, Fidelia, Tallahassee, Cross City, Albany, Georgia, up in that area, Valdosta.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody having a lot of trouble. They get 5 or 10 miles out in the airport, and side cancel IFR was a constant,
I remember, I don't know if it was you or someone else mentioned that they use it's now the Chevron station. It used to be the Shell station for many years to orient themselves to the south end of the runway, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was me. We'd come over to
Yeah,
the Shell station at
Right.
like 500 feet, heading 330, and hit your landing light. You rotate your landing light up and down, make sure there aren't any teenagers out there on the runway, and then land.
Speaking of that, I have to compliment the present operator, Fly USA. I can't even go out there without adult supervision now. They've got that place quite secure now, so I think that's been a big improvement. Things have been
Yeah.
going very well. Mr. McDonald, I'd like to ask you your thoughts on this and what the progress is, and if we could prioritize this project.
Yeah, so to answer your questions, the first thing is the FAA has no involvement in it, so there's no speeding up a priority list with the FAA. The second thing is there's no senators or anybody to speak with. What we're doing now is, the third question is the temporary lighting. We would have to design the temporary lighting in a place that complies through the FAA recommendations and the advisory circulars. And so to design something that's going to be temporary, it's not feasible when we can design something that's going to be permanent. And that's what we're doing. So with the survey and the geotech work, we're going to find a location with the design of the terminal building and the corporate hangars. We're going to find a height requirement, and that's what we're looking at. So if you go back and you read the master plan, yeah, it was one of the first things that was in that work program. It's a suggestion. We put that in there added that to the master plan because there's always been a plan to have a rotating beacon out there at some point. Fly USA came in, and you're absolutely correct, that's a priority for them. So we're moving at the speed that needs to be moved at right now, and it is a priority. I met with FDOT today to work out to lay out the work plan for the JSIP program, and so in 4 months we're going to be eligible for the beacon grant. We're still going to have to wait till the survey's complete and the design, at least, of the commercial hangars and the terminals complete to install that. In the master plan, they laid out 3 locations, and there's issues with all 3 of those locations. right now as it involving our work plan. So the one to the north is next to the phase one of the corporate hangars, the first corporate hangar that we're going to put in right next to the apron, but it's also right next to a retention pond. The setback from the runway, I don't know what that would be with the obstruction requirements from the advisory circular. So if that location is chosen, then we're going to have to still wait for this. Another one's the fuel farm. Well, we're building a terminal building there, and we don't know what that obstruction is going to look like until that terminal's designed. And then the other locations next to the maintenance hangar, and same thing with the terminal. We don't know. So in the layout plan of the master plan, you can see the terminal wrap around. We don't know if that's going to be, exactly what that terminal is going to look like. So we're moving at the right pace. It's in JSIP. We're getting approval. So the next step would be to submit, to be able to submit for a grant. And so that'll go through city resources. The next thing to do is take it to council. When I receive the PTGA, which is the grant itself, and then council will vote on yes or no. Then we'll do the design, and then we'll do the construction of the rotating beacon.
What are we talking about for a timeline on this? Is there an estimate as far as how long this could take, and could it be sped up a bit?
I know that, we're moving quickly now, wanting to do the design. We've already got the RFP, and we have vendor selected for the terminal design. The RFP for the corporate hangar, that is going to be coming out in the near future, and we've already got the work order for the survey and geotech, so that's moving along. So we're moving along at a pretty good clip. So, hopefully we'll get the grant and we'll select somebody and we can start doing the design work of the rotating beacon, within the next 6 to 9 months.
So within a year, you think this thing could be up and rotating?
No,
No.
probably not that quickly.
Give me an estimate.
Well, it depends. So if they decide that the best place to put the rotating beacon is on the terminal, it'll be after the terminal is built. If they think, the best place is somewhere else on the airfield, like next to where the AWAS is located now, that could be done fairly quickly. So.
Do you think it would be over 2 years?
I can't even begin to speculate because, like I said, I don't know where we're going to be at with the survey and the design work.
Gentlemen, thoughts, comments?
I think my only comment is I've seen this before. I don't know if my colleagues on the board know. I spent 55 years in the aviation industry.
Yes.
And many of those as an airport manager, been through a lot of this, and like you said, Mike, there's a lot of times there's no way to know whether or not it's going to go as fast as you want it to. If the RFPs are out, which ones are out now?
So we selected a contractor to design the terminal, and the RFP for the corporate hangars should be hopefully going out in the next couple of weeks.
All right, so selections shouldn't be too far away, and
Couple months.
and then design, it just depends. I personally, I would speculate, trying to answer Roger's question, I would speculate that somewhere between 12 and 18 months from now, we might know, we might have a location for where it's going to go. Whether or not there's been an RFP to get it designed during that time, that's another issue. But that's just a gut feeling on my part. I have no basis to say that it will go that fast.
Well, the good thing is that we're not planning on sending this out to an RFP. We'll select a continuing service agreement that we have with one of our engineers of record, or we might just use one of our construction managers at risk to design it and construct it.
Yeah.
So that, saves you a couple months
That
right
would
there.
speed it up,
So,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
What's the price tag on this approximately?
In the master plan in, 2019, it was 89,000. So in today's dollars, I've asked for 110.
So this isn't a massive multi-million-dollar thing. This is a
Correct.
fairly affordable,
Correct.
costs about the same as 2 police cars, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's, from what I've heard, I'm really pleased that things are moving along as fast as they are, and I'm hopeful that, like I said, 18 months from now, we'll know where it's going to go, and maybe things can get started.
And I'd like to compliment the city and Fly USA on the progress they have made. I agree that this has been a good decision to bring them in, and now that they have 30 years of contract to do a variety of things, looking forward to that. But
And I just want to assure everybody, we will, this is a priority, and we will prioritize it.
All right.
And we will take, go as fast as we can with this.
all right. Any further discussion, questions, comments?
No, I'm good.
Questions? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Do you want to open it up for the public?
We can, if anyone has a comment or question. Discussion? All right, we're adjourned.